Hi everyone, thanks for joining today's call. Our first agenda item is to go through the current sprint update. And I have an update on the teleconsultation ticket and seminar. I spent some time last Friday to go through some scenario and also some discussions. And basically, what happened is that we found out when on the current APK, the setting is that someone can, a user can log in to fill out the form data on behalf of a provider. And when such a request is made for the teleconsultation, the notification was sent to the provider, the intended provider, instead of the user, which is actually the correct workflow. However, there's some data set up in the system that the intended provider doesn't have the system login, and that's why the provider would never receive the notification, and it is going to cause some problem. So after discussing with that, we make some assumptions and then also some suggestions. First thing is that in order for the teleconsultation works, the providers and also the physician consultants must have a provider ID in the provider table, as well as they must have a system login so that they would receive the notifications. Those are the assumptions we need to make. We also create a wiki page to document such requirements. And since there's some existing data in the system that some providers, they have the provider information, but they don't have the system login. Same for the physician consultant. And for such cases like that, we plan to create a new ticket to capture on the server side, on the processing side, to first, if such link is not set up, it's going to this process is going to help to map this relationship automatically. If such information is not available, it's going to speed to the error queue. So that is what we propose to do. So it's likely to have like a couple new tickets for such enhancement. So that means that for the teleconsultation module, it's good and ready to go, except that for some special scenarios, for cases like that, the system know what to do, and also we know what to expect when they're in the error queue. So I wonder if anyone have any questions or comment on this one. Sounds like a no. Okay. So let's go to the CDM's forms. I know that Simon posted some feedback for the CDM dispensary form. Simon?
Yeah. So there were a few issues which I raised, and they were related to concepts, and in some areas are giving concept IDs, and other areas updating the concept dictionary. So today we've had a meeting with Kenneth and Petronilla. So we went through the form and we explained to Petronilla what are our issues, and To shared now the form key with Petronilla with the areas that we mentioned highlighted. So just a few minutes ago, I can see Petronilla has already responded. So I believe she's already fixed the issues. So what we'll be doing next is to go through it again to make sure everything is okay before we can now take it back to programming.
Okay, well, thanks, Simon. How about so for the health center form, my understanding is that we still haven't received the final form key yet.
Yeah, for health center, we did not discuss that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still in the hands of Pet and probably Ito. I think they're still discussing about it. Maybe
Okay.
Ito could update us on that, I think.
Maybe form by Petronilla. And been seeing one of the issues. Thank you.
So Tom, is it still with the form and concept team?
No, Petronilla has just forwarded the form, which we had forwarded to her.
Okay, so now the form is on your desk.
Yes, the form is my desk at now. I was looking through, and I realized there is one part she has an add key, which I'm trying to send it back to her, and then you can see the report.
Okay. So do you mind just to post an update on the Jira later on the tickets later on, because so that we have like a update on that, because last time we received an email saying that, oh, it's ready, but it's been a week and none of us have received it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. So those are the tickets I think have changes for the past week. Is there other things, any other tickets anyone want to discuss for current sprint?
Just about the CDM Health Center form, maybe Tor could, maybe Savai could look at it before Tor uploads it, so that we're sure that we have everything makes sense before we have to come back and forth. That's just a request from my side, and I thought could just bring it forward.
Yeah, I can take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. If no other discussions for current sprint, maybe we can jump to the discussions for the cohort design. So a week ago, we Nicholas brought it up and have some questions about how to get the Delta information to the existing to the cohort that already downloaded to the devices. For example, when the provider A creates a new client, and this client is eligible for the cohort, and how can this information get updated on the device automatically for other providers as well. I think it's a good time for us to think about all the possible scenarios, and then to figure out what is the more like adaptive model that is going to work for most scenarios. So now is the time is like for you guys to discuss, and whether you got a chance to think through since we last talked about it. Anyone?
So I just thought about it. It's going to be quite challenging to get to know which cohort would be on the device at a particular time. Uh, I think what would be, maybe if we had a portion towards the end of the form, an ability to tell whether a client is lost to follow up, and then that cohort then would not be needed in that particular clinic. But that would take time before we'd get to know whether a client is lost to follow up or they've left the clinic for one reason or the other. Uh, Still quite challenging in terms of logistics, especially getting that information from the patient who we rarely keep close contact with. So I've thought through it, and it's still quite challenging. I'm not sure how we'd go about that.
So maybe we can give some background about the different type of cohorts that we went through last time. So first one is we call it so-called we call static cohorts, that it generates and is only correct at that moment. This is for initial at the initial time. Let's say that you give us the definition, a bunch of definitions, and then these definitions is included, and then you create a cohort, and then the cohort member is set, and then even when someone is now later on eligible for this cohort, it will not make it to this cohort list, or vice versa. Someone from this cohort, because of some new data changes, he or she is no longer eligible for this cohort. This client still remain in this cohort list. So we refer this as a static cohort list definition. And another one is called dynamic, is that the definition keeps changing on daily basis based on the data update. If certain data changes and would make the cohort list dynamic, so client would go in and out of this cohort based on the data changes. Another one is called comprehensive, that at any certain point, anyone is eligible for this cohort definition, it would become a member of this list. And the only difference is whether it's active or inactive as of certain point. So there are 3 definitions that we consider, and I know that Simon did some work for the expanded cohort. Simon, do you want just to give like a brief update how that was being done for the expanded cohort module?
Yeah, for the expanded cohort, it was basically to expand the static cohort, because like you just mentioned, with the static cohort, which is done using the cohort builder. For those who know the cohort builder from the OpenMRS interface, when you are creating the cohort, you give some definition and a list of patients is generated, then you save it as a cohort. So within the database, that cohort is given an ID, and it would have that generated list all, and it won't change. So if you want to generate a new cohort based on the same definition, then you'd have probably a new list of members, and they would be saved using under a different cohort ID within the database. So what we did for the expanded cohort is to create some scheduler task that would be executing after a certain given period of time that you specify to execute the cohort definition, so that if there are new members apart from what was there previously, then they are added onto the database. And because the cohort builder does save the cohort definition in a way you can reuse, so what we introduced with the expanded cohort is some interface where you can type in an SQL statement that describes the criteria, and then setting up the scheduler task. So what the task would be doing is to be executing that SQL statement and adding more members to the cohort database. So basically, that's how it works, and that was the first pass. So based on what we discussed further, it could change the way that module is designed.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. So the the first part of the framework is there, Nicholas. The more important is the definitions provided by the program. This is something that it has to come from the program because you guys know that's what the cohort definition should be. And as long as the cohort definitions is clearly defined, and also making this SQL statement to be more efficient, it should not take too long to run, and then to update the list. Because because like the definitions that we received in the past is just based on the location or provider. So nothing really beyond that. for the initial call definition setup for CDM, for example.
Okay, still trying to understand the three, at least now with the explanation, it's quite clear what from the technical perspective. But I think what seems from your explanations, what seems to fit uh, what we'd like is more of the comprehensive cohort, because it and from the Simon's explanation of what the expanded cohort module is, it basically tries to update at a regular interval. So maybe I'll still think through this and maybe sit with Simon out of this and basically just get a deeper understanding before we come up with a final with a final definition from CDM.
Yeah, I think this is part of the cohort discussions that we need to we need to talk about. Another thing is that in terms of, let's say that for the expanded cohort model, as you can tell, the list would continue to be updated whereas any new clients eligible for the cohort. However, there's also existing members from the cohort list might no longer be eligible for that cohort definition because of the data change. And then how we define those clients is like they become inactive. So for the expanded cohorts, we should have like active and inactive status, so that you know which one is as of today or as of that data point, that which client is active, and that means like they're eligible at that point or not. So we also need to think about how this information gets synced to the actual device. Do you want to have the whole list? And as you mentioned that maybe you're only interested for a subset of clients, for example, only those who you want to exclude those like lost to follow up, so that the provider no longer need to keep going to look for the same client because the effort's already made and they could not allocate them, let's say that. So that means you don't want those inactive members to show up on your list after you get synced to your device. So there's a little bit more to think through after the first step, that how the data actually gets synced to the devices.
Thank you for that. And just maybe a question before, what's the definition of inactive? Or do we already have that definition of who are the clients who would be inactive?
For example, it's very simple. Just use like research study as example. Let's say that you enroll, like in the initial screening, you have 100 clients eligible for your study. So you enroll these 100 clients into your study. Later on, maybe if someone has a positive TB, you should exclude this client from your study later on. So this client become inactive because it's no longer eligible for the study. Or this client has lost to follow-up, is no longer eligible for a study, so become like inactive.
Yes, but in terms of the time period, because I think unlike a study where there would be certain interest that be followed up for a certain period, because this is ongoing care. For how long would we? Because we basically define inactive based on either clients who haven't come up to clinic for 6 months or longer, or how just from a time perspective.
So you can define the time frame, the time period on your SQL statement. So for example, if it's a particular study, as you say, like it's 6 months, and then that means from the initial enrollment, anything within 6 months, and then you consider those data points. Any activities after that maybe no longer as a factors. So it's really depend how you define your definitions in your SQL statement.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to throw some different scenarios and different factors that just to try to stimulate everyone's thinking through, after the call. It doesn't, like we're trying to make it more flexible and adaptive for, different scenarios. So just keep bringing different questions or different use cases with us so that we can discuss together.
We'll do that. We'll keep as you do that. We'll keep discussing, and I think I'll also discuss with the team, with the clinical team, and see how best to move forward with this.
Awesome. Thanks. I wonder if others also have comments or suggestions. Okay. So another one is like, Lawrence, did you get a chance to contact different stockholders in terms of the for the cleaning up the cohort in MRS?
I spoke to Isaac, and it was more verbal, but I really needed to. I think what I will do is do an email with a spreadsheet that has a listing of all the cohorts, and then from there they can outrightly see these are active cohorts and these are no longer useful to us for now. Because it was just a discussion that we had, but they didn't commit to anything to say this can be retired and this can be kept. So I think I'll just throw an email and I think they can respond through the thread that they'll have committed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Okay. Okay. So if there's no more other comments, maybe we can just quickly go through the implementation update at CDM.
Not much. I was away on Friday. That's why I couldn't join the call. But I'm back to the RQ today. We've done. I've been able to requeue quite a number of them. Just not run the scheduler yet, but we'll reevaluate and see how far we are by Friday.
So it would be nice to know the error resolutions. Maybe like how many have been resolved and then how many are still remaining, things like that. That would be very helpful. And if there's any blockers and what they are, that would be also very helpful to receive such information from you guys.
Yeah, okay. I'll give by numbers the next time I do have the update. And then for the challenge, I think we had a few forms on the RQ that were running on a different form UUID, which I think Simon was handling to get that fixed. Like there were lack forms, but they were being identified as CDM dispensary forms on the RQ.
Okay. So is it like a handful of those exceptions?
No, just a couple. Like there must have been like 7 forms.
Okay.
Much, yeah.
Okay. It will be nice to know how that happened and so that we can avoid that.
Yeah, it was, last December, there were a lot of data, like I had explained earlier, that was not processing because they were lacking the form name in the database. So what I did was just to go through each, look at the payload, because somehow, because of moving gold, their original form UIDs within the forms table was missing. So I was looking through the payload and try to categorize the data. So it was my mistake to think there were CDM dispensary forms, while in real sense it was lack retention. So I had inserted into the table the form name was reading CDM dispensary, while it wasn't the case. But when Lawrence mentioned the issue, I went back to the database and put the correct name.
So, Simon, is it like when we move Go, somehow the form UID did not got moved?
Yeah.
I wonder how that happened. Are you guys still there? Hello? Are you guys still there? Hey guys. Hey, are you guys there?
Hi, Ada.
I think something wrong with the Google Hangout. All of a sudden, all of us got kicked out.
Okay.
Guys, I think something wrong with the Google Hangout.
Okay.
Yeah, it kicked all of us out. 1 second. Okay, you're back, Simon.
Yeah, I'm back.
I thought it's just me alone, and then I was like, why no one talking?
Yeah, so that it's me. I looked through my keyboard. I thought maybe there's something I pressed.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, I think we were talking about the form UUID somehow it was missing when we moved Go from form server to MRS production.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that I think it was happening previously before we discovered whenever gold is moved, it kind of affects the workflow, how forms are uploaded onto the server and then devices. Because I think previously forms were being loaded onto production server and not being updated on form server.
Uh-huh.
When gold is moved from forms, it overrides the latest updates on production.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened that there were some new forms that were created on production and they were not existing on form server.
Okay.
And now that they were synced to devices, whenever gold was updated and later on data uploaded from devices,
Mm-hmm.
then the data will be hanging on the error queue. It's not known to which form that data belongs.
Oh, I
So
see.
when I checked through, that's the reason some data was not processing. There was some data hanging there. The form, corresponding form is not known. So I had to go through it manually, and when I identify a particular payload with a certain form UID belongs to, let's say, CDM dispensary, then I would update all payloads with that form UID.
Okay.
Yeah, so the 7 that Lawrence mentioned, I had updated it. Uh, I thought it was a CDM dispensary form data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my update was kind of wrong, and I've now corrected it. I've put the correct form name to be this lack retention
Mm-hmm.
form.
I see.
Yeah.
So it was the some form was created in the MRS production but was not updated in the form server when Go moved and it got overwritten. So the mapping of UUID kind of like mess up.
Yes, but yeah, moving forward, I think we already noted that problem, and
Yeah.
right now to upload any form, we have to update the form server. If
Mm-hmm.
it's an form, we load it onto the form server, and if
Yeah.
it's an app, we may update production and form server at the same
Yeah.
time.
I think maybe it's these few exceptions like maybe from those phone devices they still use the very old, they got the templates download long time ago. That's
Yeah,
why I still once in a while still have like a few here and there. Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that explains. Thank you so much, Simon, for the explanation. It helps.
Yeah.
Um, I have an update for oncology. Dr. Omega is has talked to Martin about mUzima implementation for oncology program, and he is very excited and very interested in rolling out teleconsultation in a couple clinic. So in terms of the actual logistic and details, and it hasn't been set up or finalized yet, but it's good that we have the teleconsultation modules ready, except the enhancement that I mentioned in the early of the call. I think we can still go ahead and um, say confident to say that the first version is working now, except for the enhancement for those to prevent those cases when the providers or the physician consultant they don't have a system ID, to prevent them to receive notifications. Except that one, I think is ready. It's good to go, and I will update Martin on the same, so that to let Dr. Omega know so that he can plan from his side. Um, that's the update on the oncology. For luck, I don't see. Is Derek there?
Before you go, Eda,
Yeah, go ahead.
we have one that from oncology who is interested in learning mUzima. So he can be joining the calls.
Say it one more time, Robert.
There's an FI, not from our side. Hello? Hello? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, what I was saying, we have a data assistant from oncology department who deals with data, and he's interested to learn and work with mUzima. So he was requesting if he can be joining our calls. So I'm not sure if that is possible, Ed.
I think it's possible.
Oh, sorry. I was on mute. So sorry. I was saying that yes, anyone is welcome to join. So just give me his name and email, and I can add him to the list of.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute. I did not even know.
Okay.
Any other comment or questions for implementation update? If not, any other business?
I had a question on the error resolution interface. Is it possible to keep a track of errors, let's say for the month of January?
Robert, what did you say?
I'm saying on the error resolution, like if you want to keep a track of errors, let's say you want to know how many errors entered the error queue for the month of January, is it possible?
You mean how can we keep track on the error resolutions?
Yeah.
You can create tickets if there's like enhancement that is needed. Yes. Because right now, any error resolution resolved will be removed from that table. We won't know the number.
Yeah, we were trying to work with survey, then we were not able to keep track. So maybe it can be a future enhancement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just think through what exactly need. For example, if you want to know how many were created and how many were resolved, all those things. So if you don't include those data points, and it will not help with the tracking and also resolving rate. So think about those data points.
Okay.
If needed, just let me know, and then we can include in one of our call agenda, and then we can go through as a team to discuss them.
Okay.
Go ahead, Robert.
I'm saying it is okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, I think that's all from I have. Anyone have other things they want to share or discuss? If not, thanks everyone for your contributions, and please update the tickets for the progress so that we know those tickets has been moving forward and someone is actually working through them. If not, we just don't know whether it's just somehow being put on the side or things like that. Thank you, everyone. We'll chat again this Friday and also through IRC. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Oh, Lawrence, I will add you as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, bye.